Hello, GM. Welcome everyone to this month's workshop on Radiant Capital. So we can get right into this one. So on the agenda today, we're going to be going over what is Radiant Capital, how can you access the boosted emissions, looping, zapping DLP, emission status, claiming rewards, how to use Radiant Capital, and then how to use Radiant Capital on Furucombo. So Radiant Capital basically is very similar to Aave. It's a decentralized non-custodial lending protocol, but it's also powered by Layer 0, meaning that in the future there will be seamless transfers between networks. So right now, Stargate is another example of Layer 0 technology, so that's going to be added to Radiant at some point. So additionally, different from Aave, you can also lock Radiant liquidity and you can get access to boosted emissions. So this means any profits given back to lenders or profits of the protocol will be shared with the Radiant liquidity or those who access these boosted emissions. So Radiant's on the Arbitrum network, Binance Smart Chain, and soon to launch on Ethereum. So Ethereum launch will be around October 15th. So Radiant Capital is fully supported on Furucombo, so you can use Radiant Capital on the create mode or on the lending dashboard. And we support deposit, borrow, withdraw, and repay, all those actions. And then you can also do debt swaps, collateral swaps, leverage, deleverage, and you can claim your rewards directly from Furucombo as well. So the main thing is, or the main difference between a standard lending protocol is how to access the boosted emissions. So what are the boosted emissions? So protocol fees from borrowing go to DLP and lenders. So DLP is basically just your Ethereum Radiant pool or pooled liquidity. And these DLP providers get, or D liquidity providers get 60% of the fees in all tokens that are on the marketplace. So lenders will get 25% of the fees back on the token they're lending. And then what you need to do to access these protocol fees is, or to boost your emissions, is lock more than 5% DLP of your total deposits, and this will unlock the Radiant emissions for your deposits and borrows. So Radiant makes this very clear on their interface, as we'll show later on in the demo. So when you do this, you'll receive your share of the protocol revenue, and then the more DLP, the more revenue you will receive. So Radiant emissions are vested for 90 days, but you can claim them early for a penalty. So here is the utility flow chart. So this just shows basically what happens if you're going to DLP boost or not. So you can lend and you can borrow and bridge, and if you don't DLP boost, you're just going to get the base market rate. So if you DLP boost, you're going to get the boosted emissions, and then you have basically two options as per this flow chart, but there is a third option. Actually, it does show all three here. Okay, so you can claim before the 90 days, and you can receive anywhere from 10 to 75% exit penalty. You can vest for 90 days, and you can receive 100%, or you can zap back into locked DLP. So when you receive your emissions, you're going to receive all kinds of tokens, DAI, USDC, Ethereum, things like that. And you can just vest that, or you can change all those tokens back into the locked DLP. So that would be your Ethereum Radiant pool. And then that way you'll receive 100% of the rewards. And then the DLP will be locked for some time period. And then you'll get the protocol fees of basically every token that is borrowable on Radiant. So here's an example. So if a user deposits 1,000 USDC on Radiant and you have, or they have 0% DLP tokens locked, the user will just earn the base rate API that's not does not include the incentivized emissions. So in this example below, you're going to get only 0.02% on DAI when you deposit and 0.21% on USDC when you deposit. And then when you borrow, you're going to be charged 0.68% on DAI and 1.95% on USDC. You can see below that there is a bonus in Radiant tokens if you do have that boosted emissions active. So 3K on DAI deposit, 12K back to you when you borrow. So definitely make sure that you are taking advantage of the boosted emissions. That's one of the biggest components of Radiant Capital. So in example 2, user deposits 1,000 USDC and has $50 DLP locked. So this user would be eligible for the Radiant emissions as they are meeting the 5% minimum threshold. So that's the minimum you're going to want to lock in order to access the boosted emissions. And this is based on your deposit. So if you, again, deposit 10,000, you're going to need 500 minimum DLP locked, but also make sure that the DLP percentage can change based on price fluctuation. So if you have $500 in DLP locked, the market goes down 10%, you no longer have that 5%. So they also offer looping on Radiant. So looping is an automated process that provides an opportunity to earn a yield on a greater collateral value by repeating the deposit and borrow function. So on Radiant, you can leverage up to 4x. And the loop and lock function will execute up to a 1.11 or 1.0 from what I've seen health factor. So anything lower is going to fail. And then remember, you need to maintain, again, a minimum of 5% DLP to remain eligible for emissions. So the looping is going to increase basically your deposit and borrow until you kind of hit the lowest eligible health factor. And that's going to basically increase your principal deposit. So what happens here is, say you deposit 1,000, you loop it, your borrow could be up to 4,000. So then in order to be eligible for emissions, you don't need, say, $50 locked in DLP. You're going to need the $4,000 worth. So you're going to need $200 locked in DLP. And then you can also do this looping on Furucombo. And then the principal difference, as we'll see when we go through the demo, is on Radiant. It will actually provide DLP if you haven't already provided DLP. And on Furucombo, it won't process that little extra action. If you do have any DLP at all, even if you're below the minimum, it won't add any to the DLP automatically, though. So on the Radiant interface, this is how the zapping looks. So they have a button where you can zap into the DLP. And you can do this either with ETH or Radiant tokens. So on the left, you just make the deposit. So you can enter the amount of Ethereum or Radiant you want to add. And then in the middle, it'll basically tell you that you meet the minimum 5% value and that the boosted is unlocked. And then on the right, it just shows you the multiplier amount. So you can lock your DLP anywhere from 1 month to 12 months, 12 months being the longest. And the 12 months will give you the largest boost on your multiplier, the largest chance to earn the boosted emissions. So for example, 1 month locking APR, the calculation for this is total 1 month locker share of annualized protocol fees divided by the total 1 month locker share of the DLP pool size. So you're going to earn proportional to how many deposits others have also provided on that locker. And then once you have provided your DLP, you're going to see at the top that your emissions are active on your deposits or that your boost is inactive. So always make sure that on the Radiant interface that if you're wanting to get the boosted emissions, that it is showing it on the interface. It does show that your emissions are active there. And then from the manage page, you can also claim your accrued platform revenue, or you can auto compound this every 24 hours if you meet the minimum threshold of $5. So on the right, you can activate the auto compound. If you don't have the minimum, you can just claim all. But as you can see here with the rewards, you know, there's earnings of USDC, DAI, USDT, ETH, ARB, wrapped staked ETH, and wrapped Bitcoin. So many different kinds of tokens. Those are all tokens that are able to be borrowed, and then you'd be able to claim these. So once you claim your rewards from the boosted emissions, you have some options. So as we mentioned before, radiant emissions earned from lending borrowing must be vested or zapped into DLP to claim. So there's three options. Option one is to zap back into the DLP. So you can zap into lock DLP, and you can lock for 1 to 12 months by adding the ETH Radiant or BNB Radiant and share in platform fees. And so that'll include 100% claimable, but you can't unstake. And then there's vested Radiant. So vested Radiant is 90-day, and you'll receive 100%. And if you vest your Radiant, you can exit early. So if you choose Zap DLP, you can exit early. If you vest Radiant, you can exit early, but you'll only receive anywhere from 10 to 75% depending on the progression of the 90 days. So early exit fees are distributed 90% to the Radiant reserve and 10% are burned. So if you do vest Radiant, you won't earn on platform fees, but you will be able to claim your existing rewards, and you can exit early if you so desire. Cool, cool. So we will go over how to use the Radiant Capital and then use Radiant Capital on Furucombo. So here is the Radiant Capital website, radiant.capital, and we can click launch. And we'll just choose Arbitrum. You could choose BNB if that's your desire on the top there. So you see when we come to the page here, we can see right away that our emissions are inactive. So first we'll just make a deposit down below. So these are the base APY. So if I make a deposit of USDC, I'm going to earn 1.72. If I boost my emissions, I can earn up to 3.16. So for us, we will make a deposit of Ethereum. So I'll just click the Ethereum token. You can always change it at the top left here anytime. And then I'm just going to click deposit. And then we're going to deposit this. And wait for that to go here. Okay, so we are deposited now. So if we go up to the dashboard here, we can see we've made a deposit of $1.63 of Ethereum, earning 1.41%. It's being used as collateral, and our actions are we can deposit and withdraw. So at the top middle here, we can see that our emissions are inactive, and we would require that 5% in order to earn the emission. So that would be 8 cents on my deposited liquidity. So it says you're 100% away from activating up to 49% of on your $1.63. So where does the 49% come from? When we go back down to Ethereum, we can see that there's a loop APR, so the maximum APR based on loop. So if we click that, we can see that there's a one-click loop and lock on the right. So what we can do is we could do this. We could borrow some leverage of this, and we could earn a new APR based on the amount, based on the maximum looping. So again, this is going to be up to 4. So what we can do is we can see kind of what that looks like based on the health factors here. So if we do borrow one-click loop and lock. We can do that via the slider here, decide how much we're going to want to leverage on the borrow factor. So if we do leverage 4, we're going to see that we will get a minus 25% ETH. So that's going to be our borrow cost, but we will get a 47% return on Radiant, which means our new estimated APR is 22% here. And then we won't require any ETH extra to loop, but our health factor is going to be 1.44 on this one. So that's an option. And then you could also make additional deposit and loop up to, again, the health factor of 1.11. So that is how you do the one-click loop. So basically down at the bottom here, it says, in addition to looping, this function will also borrow and convert ETH into DLP, so dynamic locked liquidity, in order to maintain the minimum eligibility to unlock emissions. And then you can adjust the default length on the manage page. If you're already eligible for emissions, additional DLP will not be automatically created through this function. So this is the difference between doing the one-click loop on Radiant versus Furucombo. So for example, if we go over to Furucombo and we go to the lending dashboard here, we'll just connect. Go to Radiant, okay, and then we'll just do a borrow here. Let's do 2.5. Gas fees are pretty high on Arbitrum. Okay, so this is how the Radiant dashboard, the lending dashboard on Furucombo is going to look for Radiant. So we'll see our total supply on the left and then our total borrow on the right. So to do the leverage on Furucombo, you would just click this leverage button on the right. And then what we could see is we could go max leverage on ARB, for example, long. And then it's going to show our leverage factor here at the bottom. So this one will allow us to do, with the ARB token, if we are going to go leverage on that, it's only going to be 1.6x. So let's leverage with Ethereum instead. And we can see that we've hit that, well, for Ethereum, it's 4.8x. So let's just check the value here, borrow. Okay, so this one will actually allow you to leverage a little bit larger because your health rate is going to come down to 1.04 on Furucombo. So that's going to allow you to leverage up to 4.8x. So at anything under 1, you have the option or the chance of getting liquidated. So definitely be aware of that if you are going to leverage this, that you need to ensure that your health factor is above 1. So on the left here, this just shows you the strategy. So you are using flash loans to kind of boost your position here. And what it's going to do is going to take a USDC, it's going to swap it to wrapped ETH, deposit wrapped ETH, return the RETH token, which is just the proof of deposit. You're going to borrow the USDC again, and then repay that flash loan, and then send the extra ETH to the wallet, basically. Okay, and that's leveraging. So on Furucombo here, I'll come back to this, but you can also make any action that you can on Radiant, so deposit, withdraw, borrow, repay. But you also get access to these advanced trading actions. So you can collateral swap without any upfront funds, debt swap without any upfront funds, and you can deleverage. So I'll just briefly, I'll come back to that here once we finish up on Radiant. So that's how you can loop there to earn basically up to these percentages on the right. And then that's our dashboard for deposits and borrows. So again, as shown on Furucombo there, deposit, withdraw, borrow, repay, deposit, withdraw, borrow, repay here. And then if we do lock into the DLP, we can see our emissions here on the manage page. So this would all have to be done on the Radiant website. So once you have your emissions active, here you'll be able to see your platform revenue accruing. And again, you can compound if you have greater than $5. Otherwise, you can just click the claim all. And then down here in the left, if you decide to lock your DLP, you can do so via this. So once you claim the rewards, you can either vest or lock, and you can choose the term here, 12 months, 6 months, 3 months, and 1 month. And then you can, what's going to happen is the auto relock is also going to be enabled. So it'll relock your expired DLP. And in this case, it's set for 12 months. So if we choose 1 month, it'll change it to 1 month here. So make sure you choose the link that kind of works for you, or remove the auto relock here. So once you claim your tokens, you can lock into DLP, or you can vest here. Right here, or you can zap into DLP. And then if you decide you want to exit early, that's how you would do it here via the exit early button. And then here's going to show your penalty for exiting early. So again, all the DLP has to be managed on Radiant. So that's going to be done via this manage page. So if you do want to activate emissions, you would just zap into DLP, choose the amount that makes sense for you. So maybe 0.001. This is going to meet the eligibility for the zapping for the radiant emissions. So once you're happy with that, you would just click next. You would choose the amount to lock for. So we can see here, if I lock $1.63 of DLP, I'm going to earn an annual reward of 63 cents or 38.98% APR. And then I'm going to get my emissions eligible for those extra boosted rewards. So again, if I'm happy with that, I would just click that. I would zap in DLP and then hit zap. And then looks like I got an error, but that's okay. So just check that if you want to, again, access those boosted emissions. So that's the basics of Radiant. So again, you can see all the values for the boosted emissions, base emissions from markets here. So for our Ethereum deposit right now, we're only earning 1.41%, but you can get an additional 3.21 or up to 47% if you loop up to the maximum leverage of that token. And then we have borrowed ARB token. So ARB token is 9.99, 9.98 around there percentage borrow cost. If we do boost it, we can basically borrow this close to free, or we can loop it here for up to 14.53%, earning a little bit if we leverage. So going back to Furucombo here, so I'll just go over the advanced actions quickly. So that's what differentiates using Furucombo from Radiant, and this is going to be the collateral swap. So collateral swap will allow you to switch your collateral token without any upfront funds. So if you've made a borrow, you don't have to repay that borrow before you can switch your collateral. So if you hit collateral swap, you can choose the new collateral you wish to use. So, and then just choose the amount that you want to swap. So what's going to happen when you do this is you're going to swap your ETH to USDC and then use that as collateral. So we can see on the left how that's going to look. You're going to borrow wrapped ETH in a flash loan, swap to USDC, deposit USDC, return those funds to your wallet. So this is your proof of deposit. And then add funds. So this is going to add the R token for your ETH deposit into the contract so that it knows that you have those funds. Withdraw your ETH, repay your flash loan, and that's it. So that's collateral swap. And then you can also manage your borrowed position on the right. So debt swap, leverage, deleverage. Debt swap is going to allow you to switch your debt without having to repay anything. So again, you can choose a different debt token, and that's going to might change your health factor, your net APY, your liquidation threshold, depending on the factors provided by Radiant. And then the other two, so one we already mentioned, leverage, so we can long or short ARB token, and then we can do that leverage up to some predetermined amount depending on the token. So if we do a short on ARB, how's this going to look? So it's going to flash loan borrow ARB. It's going to swap to USDC, deposit USDC, return the R token to your wallet, which will allow you to borrow ARB and then flash repay the ARB token. So again, be wary if you do this on the right that you're going to want to maintain a health factor above 1. And then what this is going to do is the amount or the APY charged to you for borrowing this token is going to be 31%, but you're going to be eligible for a higher amount of boosted rewards because of the loop. So if you are going to short, ensure you have the boosted rewards or boosted emissions activated so you can balance off the additional borrow cost here. Otherwise, the borrow cost is going to be quite high. And then if you're ready to kind of close out your position, you can do so with the deleverage button here. So deleverage is going to use the collateral deposited, so your ETH tokens, to repay your borrows and then close out all your positions. So you can use deleverage if you're close to being liquidated, if you just want to kind of start over with your position and you don't have those funds available to repay your borrows because maybe you're staking them in another protocol, you can use your collateral to deleverage yourself with this button here. So when you click deleverage, you can choose how much you want to repay on your current position, and that's going to withdraw the amount of collateral to repay your position. So in this case, we're going to flash loan the ETH. We're going to swap to ARB, repay the ARB token, add back the R tokens for ETH once you perform the repay, which will allow us to withdraw the ETH and then repay the flash loan. So that can be done via the deleverage function. So again, collateral swap, debt swap, deleverage will not be available on Radiant. So you need to come to Furucombo to do those advanced actions. And then leverage is available on Radiant. The key difference being if you decide that you want to loop, then you're going to have to, or if you loop from Radiant, you will be making that deposit into DLP if you haven't yet already done that. So that's, again, going to be locked default for 1 month in this case. So you won't earn the maximum 12-month rewards. So it's up to you if you want to do the leverage function from the one-click loop and lock here on Radiant and get the 1 month lock on your DLP, or do it from Furucombo and then you won't get that kind of action happening. If you are going to lock for your boosted emissions, depending on how long you plan on staying into the liquidity pool, 12-month is going to give you the highest reward. So you might want to do that manually beforehand, before doing your loop, or just do it over here from the leverage button on Furucombo. And that is it for the demos. So that is the end of the Radiant workshop. I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions at all, you can reach us in our Discord anytime. And then everyone who attended this workshop will receive the Furucombo Radiant Capital Workshop OAT. So thanks for listening. And again, if you have any questions, reach out to us in Discord anytime. Cheers.